It was early March 2025 when Rachel Brooks, a 41-year-old history teacher with a quiet fascination for the occult, booked a weekend stay at the Myrtles Plantation. The antebellum estate, built in 1796, was touted as one of America's most haunted homes, with tales of murdered slaves, poisoned children, and a mirror said to trap souls. Rachel, recently divorced and craving a distraction, convinced her friend Javier, a 38-year-old carpenter with a no-nonsense attitude, to join her. "It's just a tourist trap," Javier said as they packed. But Rachel's research, accounts of footsteps, voices, and apparitions had her half convinced otherwise. They arrived on March 7th, a humid Friday evening, the air thick with the scent of magnolias and moss. The plantation loomed ahead, its white columns stark against the twilight, Spanish moss dripping from the oaks like tangled hair. Their room, the General Bradford Suite, was upstairs, its antique furniture polished to a gleam, though the air felt heavy, as if the walls held their breath. A large, ornate mirror dominated one corner, its frame gilded but tarnished, the glass rippled with age. Rachel ran her fingers along its edge, half smiling. "This is the one they say is haunted." Javier snorted, flopping onto the bed. "Looks like something my abuela would have bought at a flea market." But as night fell, the house grew restless. Floorboards creaked in empty rooms below, and a faint tapping, like fingernails on glass, drifted from the mirror. Rachel chalked it up to settling wood, but Javier sat up, frowning. "That's not normal." By midnight, the tapping had turned rhythmic, insistent, echoing through the suite. Rachel, bleary-eyed, grabbed her phone to record it, the sound sharp against the silence. Javier shone his flashlight at the mirror, its beam catching a flicker, something moving behind the glass. "Did you see that?" he whispered. Rachel nodded, her pulse quickening. The reflection showed their room but distorted. The bed was unmade, the curtains torn, and a shadow lingered where no one stood. She stepped closer, her breath fogging the mirror's surface. The tapping stopped, replaced by a low hum, like a voice muffled by water. Javier tugged her arm. "Let's get out of here." But before they could move, the hum sharpened into a child's giggle, high, clear, and impossibly close. Rachel's phone slipped from her hand, the screen still recording as it hit the floor. In the mirror, a small figure appeared, a girl in a tattered dress, her face pale, her eyes black pits. She pressed her hands against the glass, smudging it with tiny wet prints. Javier cursed, dragging Rachel toward the door, but it wouldn't budge. The knob turned freely, yet the frame held fast. The giggle multiplied, voices overlapping, some sobbing, others whispering names. Chloe, Sarah, help. The mirror's surface rippled, the girl's hands pushing outward, the glass bulging as if it might shatter. Rachel's chest tightened. The air tasted sour, like damp earth and decay. Javier kicked the door, splintering the wood, but the whispers grew louder, circling them. Desperate, Rachel grabbed a brass candlestick from the nightstand and swung it at the mirror. The glass cracked with a sound like breaking ice, and the room went silent, except for a single, wet thud. They turned to see a small, soaked handprint on the wall behind them, dripping red. The door flew open on its own, and they stumbled into the hall, past other guests peering from their rooms, faces pale with questions they didn't answer. They checked out at dawn, driving back to Baton Rouge in silence. At home, Rachel played the phone recording. Over the tapping, the giggles, the whispers, a woman's voice emerged, calm, deliberate, saying, "You shouldn't have looked." She deleted it, but that night, March 8th, she woke to find her bedroom mirror fogged, a child's handprint pressed into the glass. Javier called the next day, his voice shaking. "Check your windows." Outside her apartment, every pane bore the same mark, small, wet, and faintly red. She's selling the place now, but she still hears the tapping.